You are here now, and this is no accident. A decision is silently forming in your life at this very moment, and the cost of ignoring it goes far beyond simple passing regret. This is not an exaggeration. This is not drama. It is a real alert for those who have been chosen. And if you felt a different stirring in your spirit upon seeing this, it is because this message was destined exclusively for you. Stay until the end. What I will reveal here may be exactly what was missing for you to understand what is happening in your life right now. Today, you will discover why certain patterns repeat in your life even when you try to change. You will understand what the signs you've been ignoring are trying to tell you, and you will know with clarity what to do from today onward so you do not miss the most decisive moment of your journey. Let's begin. You have been chosen, and that has a price. The word chosen is thrown around with too much lightness. It appears in pretty Instagram quotes, in motivational calendar phrases, in family group texts, and it leaves without a trace. But today I want you to sit with that word. Let it truly land in your heart before moving forward. Being chosen does not mean life will be a bed of roses. It means you have been assigned a purpose that transcends comfort. It means there is an intention behind your existence that was drawn up before your first breath. And when you truly begin to understand this, not as a nice phrase, but as an operating truth in your life, you begin to walk in a completely different way. Think with me. Have you been through situations that should have broken you, losses that seemed definitive, betrayals that could have embittered you forever, silences from God that felt like abandonment, and yet you are here, standing, breathing, seeking something greater, watching this? This is not coincidence. This is constant protection operating behind the scenes of your existence. There is research conducted by Harvard University that followed people who went through severe trauma and yet built lives with profound meaning. What these people had in common was not an absence of pain. It was the capacity to find a guiding thread within the pain. Attention, you need to prepare now. I put together an exclusive resource for those who feel set apart for something greater, but live surrounded by noise, distractions, and mental overload. This is a 30-day journey that will transform your life. A guided path to armor your mind and prepare for what's coming with daily practices of focus, boundaries, and discipline. Stop negotiating with the noise. Learn to spot distractions before they control you, and strengthen your mind. Also available in an immersive audio version. Over 10 Zuru readers have already transformed their lives through the 30-day journey. Thousands of people have already started this transformation. People like you who are tired of living in the fog. Ordinary people who decided to stop accepting mental chaos. Take advantage of this limited time offer only this month. Access your link just below in the pinned comment to see purpose where others saw only destruction. The researchers called this post-traumatic resilience, but those who have lived it know the true name, grace. You have survived storms not meant for just anyone. Each one was a school disguised as calamity, and every tear you shed in silence was planted as a seed in the soil of a next season, still being prepared for you. The problem is that most people, when they go through pain, just want it to end, and they miss the lesson embedded within it. They waste the school. They leave the same way they entered, or worse, they leave with bitterness instead of wisdom. Will you continue to do that? Or will you begin to pay real attention? The decision that is forming now. Let me be direct with you because you deserve honesty, not run around. There is a decision silently forming in your life at this exact moment. You may already know what it is. You may be in denial about it. You may be afraid to name it aloud because naming makes it real, and real demands a response. But it is there. You feel it. It may be a decision about a relationship that you know deep down is not building you up, but the fear of emptiness and loneliness keeps you in it. It may be a professional decision that requires the courage to let go of security to pursue what is real. It may be a decision about what you are putting into your body, your mind, your time. It may be a spiritual decision to truly commit to the path you say you believe in, but are not yet fully living. Whatever this decision is, your response to it in this season carries a profound weight. Your awareness now will determine whether you step into a blessing or into an unnecessary struggle. And this is not a threat of punishment. It is the simplest law that exists. Every choice opens one path and closes another. Every yes carries a no within it. And every delayed decision is also a decision. The decision to let time choose for you. Do you want time to choose for you, or will you take the lead role in your own story? The signs you are ignoring. Let me ask you a direct question. In recent months, have you felt something was out of place? That a specific relationship drains you more than it strengthens you? That a professional or financial situation is not going where it should? That there is a path your heart points to repeatedly, but your mind rationalizes 1,000 reasons not to follow? These are not random thoughts. They are signs. The vast majority of people spend their entire lives waiting for a grand sign, a voice from heaven, an unmistakable prophetic dream, a spectacular vision that leaves zero room for doubt. And while they wait for the dramatic, they completely ignore the subtle. They ignore the peace they feel when making an aligned decision. They ignore the physical discomfort that appears every time they force something not meant for them. They ignore the repetition of certain situations, trying to teach something they refuse to learn. God, the universe, the higher force, call it what your faith allows, rarely shouts. It whispers. And the chosen ones are exactly those who learn to hear the whisper above the noise. Do you know someone over 35 who has worked all their life, who is a good person, who prays, who strives, and yet feels they are walking in circles, that they keep arriving at the same point, that change always seems just around the corner but never quite turns it? I will tell you what is often happening with that person. They are running ahead of the right timing. They are forcing doors not yet designated for that hour. They are carrying burdens that were never placed on their shoulders by a higher force. They place them there themselves, out of anxiety, fear, impatience with the process. And when you run ahead of the right time, what you find is not blessing. It is unnecessary struggles, relationships that shouldn't have started yet, businesses that shouldn't have opened at that moment, decisions made at the wrong time that cost years of rework. There is a huge difference between fighting for what is yours and forcing what is not yours. The fight for what is yours has a taste of purpose, even when it hurts. It has a feeling that it's worth enduring. Forcing what is not yours has a taste of progressive emptiness, even when it seems to be working on the surface. Can you distinguish one from the other in your life now? If you have doubt, that in itself is a sign you need to stop and listen. The shield you do not see. I will share something you may never have stopped to consider with the depth it deserves. There are dangers that have been diverted from your life without your knowledge. Situations that could have arrived and did not. People who could have entered your circle and did not. Paths that seemed right and were blocked, and that you only understood months or years later that the blockage was protection, not punishment. This invisible shield is not a product of your competence. It is not the result of your intelligence or cleverness in navigating life. It is the care of something far greater than you operating behind the scenes, silently, without asking for credit. Now answer me honestly. Have you been through a situation that seemed like the absolute end, and that later revealed itself as a providential redirection? A layoff that opened a better door than the one you lost? A relationship ending that freed you from something that would have destroyed you slowly. A loss that forced a reconstruction you never would have done by your own will. If you have, and I bet you have more than once, then you already have concrete evidence of this shield in your own history. You do not need blind, irrational faith. You have faith based on documented experience, and that is infinitely more powerful. The problem is that human memory is selective by design. We remember pains with much more vividness than protections. We remember the times the heavens seemed closed far more than the times it became clear an invisible hand was holding you. Neuroscience has a name for this: negativity bias. The human brain processes negative experiences with greater intensity and records them more strongly in memory than positive experiences of the same magnitude. In other words, you are biologically programmed to remember what hurt more than what was good. And the enemy of your purpose, whether you call it the devil, the ego, fear, or the shadow, knows this. That's why it uses the accumulated weight of your painful memories to build a narrative of abandonment, to make you believe you are alone, that you were forgotten, that you are not a priority. While the truth is that each moment you felt weakest was exactly the moment the presence was closer, not more distant, closer. This is not nice philosophy to make you feel good. It is what people who have gone through the greatest trials and emerged transformed report, with a consistency that goes beyond coincidence. At the bottom of the pit, something sustained them, something that was not themselves. Have you ever felt that? Hold that answer in your heart. It matters more than you think. The weariness words cannot explain. I need to talk about something very few people have the courage to name aloud. But it is necessary to speak because it is silently affecting millions right now. There is a type of weariness that does not pass with physical rest. You sleep 8 hours and wake up exhausted. You take a vacation and return heavier than you left. You spend the whole weekend at home, and by Monday you are at your limit before noon. This weariness has no clear medical explanation. It is not weakness of character. It is not laziness in disguise. This exhaustion that words cannot explain is the sign that you are carrying a weight never destined for your shoulders. According to data from the American Psychiatric Association, anxiety disorders affect tens of millions of adults, and a considerable portion of these people are exhausted not by excess of work itself, but by excess of control, by trying to manage alone things completely outside their reach, by being unable to stop resolving, predicting, anticipating, holding everything at once with their own hands. Do you recognize yourself in that description? Here is a truth that will seem simple, but takes years to truly assimilate. When you try to carry everything alone, you feel the weight. When you surrender, even minimally, even with fear, even without fully understanding the process, you feel relief. Pay attention to that difference in your own body. The body does not lie. The rational mind rationalizes. The ego resists. Fear argues. But the body feels the truth before any word is formed. Surrendering is not giving up. It is not spiritual passivity of sitting with arms crossed, waiting for everything to resolve itself. Surrendering is recognizing there is an intelligence greater than yours operating in the cosmos, and that collaborating with it is infinitely more efficient than fighting against it. It is like swimming with the current instead of against it. You arrive at the same place, or a better place, spending a fraction of the energy. The most prepared athlete in the world does not win if they run in the wrong direction. Effort without alignment is a waste of life, and alignment does not come from your head when it is in constant survival mode. It comes from silence, from deliberate pause, from intentional listening. When was the last time you were in real silence? Not silence of a screen on with no sound. Not silence with headphones and a podcast. Real silence. You, your thoughts, and what is deepest within you, without external interference. If it has been too long to remember, that is an urgent sign. Wisdom has already been planted within you. but it cannot raise its voice above the noise you yourself put on to avoid having to hear it. The trap of comparison. I need to talk about something that especially affects those over 35, who have lived enough to have expectations about where they should be in life, but who sometimes feel they have fallen behind. It is the trap of comparison. You look to the side and see someone who seems to have arrived sooner, who seems to have more, who seems to be living exactly what you prayed for. And a voice begins to whisper inside your head, "Why not me? Why them and not me? Did I make some fundamental mistake? Am I not worthy enough?" And then something very dangerous and very silent happens. You begin to try to imitate the other's path, to force your life to fit a mold never made for you, to rush stages because someone your age has already passed them, to make decisions based on the social clock instead of the clock of purpose. And when it doesn't fit, and it won't fit because the mold is not yours, you interpret the misfit as personal failure, when in truth it is just confirmation that your path has a different geometry. There is no injustice in destiny. What exists is different timing, different preparation, different purpose. The Japanese bamboo is one of the most fascinating plants for this very reason. You plant the seed. You water it with discipline every day. You care for it consistently. And for the first 4 years, nothing happens on the surface. Absolutely nothing visible to the outside observer. Any impatient person will conclude the seed was no good, the effort was wasted, they should have planted something else. But in the 5th year, the bamboo grows over 60 feet in just 6 weeks. What was happening during the 4 years of apparent silence? The root system was being built. A subterranean structure so deep, so vast and so solid, it would be capable of sustaining explosive growth without toppling, breaking or collapsing in the first strong wind. You may be in the bamboo phase right now, and the right question is not why haven't you grown yet? The right question is your root being built with the same dedication with which you expect to see growth on the surface? Are you being faithful to the invisible process? This changes everything, literally everything. Not every door was made for you. It's time to talk about something that will step on some toes, but if you've come this far, you are ready to hear it. Not every opportunity was made for you. And not every voice deserves your trust. We live in a culture that glorifies yes, that rewards those who do more, accept more, embrace more projects, maintain more relationships, stay present in more places at once. The busy person is admired. The full schedule is a symbol of importance. And this culture is silently destroying the chosen ones. Because the chosen ones need focus, they need sharp discernment, they need to learn to say no with the same conviction and clarity with which they say yes. Have you ever entered something that seemed like an opportunity and turned into a trap? A business that seemed promising and turned into debt that took years to pay? A relationship that seemed like true love and turned into an emotional prison you needed supernatural strength to leave? A partnership that seemed complementary and turned into betrayal that left a scar? Now tell me honestly, there were signs before. There was that small voice, that strange feeling in your stomach, that subtle discomfort you ignored because the opportunity seemed too good to pass up, or because you were afraid of having nothing if you refused, or because people around you were excited and you didn't want to seem like the negative one in the group. Discernment is being taught in this season, and a central part of this learning is recognizing that the peace you feel when something aligns with your deepest truth is spiritual data as valid or more valid than any spreadsheet, any rational analysis, any third-party opinion. Pay attention to the conviction in your heart when something feels wrong. Don't ignore it. Don't rationalize it toward convenience. Don't minimize it because it would be uncomfortable to step back. Because when you repeatedly ignore that internal warning, you progressively begin to lose access to it. And when you lose access to your internal compass, you become truly vulnerable to any direction the wind blows. People who suffered the greatest betrayals of their lives almost always say the same thing when looking back. I knew. Deep down, I knew from the beginning. But I chose not to listen because it was more convenient not to listen at the time. Will you continue to choose not to listen? Common moments with a divine signature. Here is one of the most delicate and most practical points of this entire message. That's why I need your total attention now. The most decisive moments of your life rarely arrive announced. They rarely arrive with fanfare, with dramatic background music, with a neon sign saying, "Here is your destiny shift." They arrive disguised as seemingly ordinary conversations, as encounters that seem casual, as ideas that arise on a boring Tuesday while you are in traffic on the way home, or washing dishes after dinner. If you are distracted with your phone, with social media, with other people's drama, with the frantic rush of daily life, you will treat these moments with total casualness. You will let them pass without realizing they were marked with a divine signature. You will continue your walk without knowing what just passed through your life. Think of a scene you probably know well. You are at the end of a long, heavy day, exhausted in a way that goes beyond the physical. You get home, pick up your phone almost by reflex, start scrolling the feed without even realizing you started. An hour passes, 2 hours, and you have been carried by the current of empty entertainment without having processed absolutely anything that happened during the day, without having heard what your own heart was trying to tell you in the cracks of silence, without having noticed the idea that almost surfaced but was swallowed by the algorithm before taking shape. This happens every day with tens of millions, and it is exactly there, in that space of daily distraction, that the signs are lost. Not in the great storms, where everything becomes so obvious it's hard to ignore. In the silence you do not allow yourself to have. There are people being positioned in your life right now. Some are already there, you just haven't seen them with the right eyes yet. Real opportunities are being aligned, resources are being moved. But all of this requires from you one thing no one can give you: deliberate attention. Your character is being refined. There is a reason you have not yet received all you have asked for, and before discouragement appears, I need you to hear this reason with an open heart. It is not punishment. It is not abandonment. It is not a sign that you do not deserve it, or that your prayers were not heard. The reason is that the blessing being prepared for you requires a version of you that is still under construction. A more solid version, more mature, more rooted. A version that can hold the weight of the answer without being crushed by it. Think of it this way. Would you hand the keys of a high-performance car to a 6-year-old child? No. Not because the child doesn't deserve the car, but because they do not yet have the necessary development to handle that power without destroying themselves and others in the process. Resistance is being built in you. Your character is being molded in layers you cannot always see from within the process. Your faith is being refined, not to be perfect, but to be authentic enough to withstand the blessing without getting lost in it. This is fundamental to understand because there are people who receive before they are ready. And what was meant to be a blessing becomes a trap. The wealth that arrives before financial and emotional maturity becomes debt and arrogance. The relationship that arrives before the healing of old wounds becomes a repetition of the same painful pattern with a different face. The visibility that arrives before the purpose is rooted becomes vanity that empties from within while seeming full on the outside. In the waiting seasons of your life, are you growing or just suffering? The two can coexist, but the difference between them is what you do with the pain while it is present. If you are simply waiting for the pain to pass so you can move on, you are wasting the most expensive school that exists. If you are asking what the pain came to teach, what it is building, what it is removing, then you are being molded. Pain is never wasted when you are on the right path. Everything that is allowed has a purpose woven into its core, even what hurts the most, when heaven seems closed. There is a phase the chosen ones go through that is especially hard to understand while you are in it. It is the phase where nothing seems to be happening, where prayers seem to hit the ceiling and come back with no answer, where you continue to be faithful, continue to do what you believe is right, continue to strive, and the results simply do not appear. This period has a name in spiritual tradition: the wilderness. And the wilderness is not punishment, it is preparation. Think of everything that happens in the wilderness that does not happen in any other environment. The forced silence that compels you to hear things, the noise of daily life always drowned out. The scarcity that reveals with brutal clarity what really matters and what was just comfortable distraction. The solitude that forces you to build a relationship with yourself that the crowd and social bustle never allowed. The radical dependence born when you perceive, with no margin for denial, that you alone are not enough and that this is not weakness. It is the beginning of true wisdom. Those who emerged from the wilderness strengthened are not those who tried to get out faster, not those who resisted more fiercely. They are those who learned what the wilderness had to teach while they were still inside it. Are you in the wilderness now? Then stop and ask, what is this silence telling you that the noise of your normal life never let you hear? What is this weight revealing about you that abundance hid? What is this phase building in your internal structure that will be absolutely fundamental for what comes next? Because what comes next is real. It is being prepared with a care you cannot yet fathom, and it will need a version of you that only the wilderness could forge, the battles no one sees. I will speak now about something I want you to carry in your heart, far beyond this. The struggles you carry in silence are fully known. The doubts you rarely utter aloud because it seems too weak to admit them. The battles you fight when no one is looking, in the early hours when the weight seems unbearable and you have no words to explain to anyone what you are feeling. The nights you look at the ceiling and ask, how long? All of this is known. Every tear has been counted. Every groan that didn't even form a word has been recorded. No moment of genuine anguish has gone unnoticed by the eyes that never turned away from you. And all of this, all of it without exception, is being transformed into something. Into strength you didn't know you had. Into wisdom that only comes from those who have lived, not from those who have read. Into authority to speak about what you survived from a place no book can teach. Into deep empathy to help others who will walk through the same valley and will need someone who understands from within, not from without. Think of an anchor. The boat rocks violently on the surface. The storm shakes the hull. The waves seem to want to capsize everything, but the anchor is firm on the bottom, invisible to those looking from outside, silent, making no spectacle. It is what prevents the boat from being swept away by the current. You have an anchor like that operating in your life. It has held you in storms that could have completely destroyed you. You may not have seen it. You may not have felt it clearly in the moment. But the irrefutable fact that you are here today, standing, still seeking, still believing, still listening, that fact is the concrete proof that it worked. And it is still there, firm, unshakable, holding you while the surface of life rocks. Do not pull away when life becomes overwhelming, because the presence is closest precisely when you feel weakest. It is not when you are at your peak that you most need sustenance. It is when you are on the ground, without strength to get up on your own. Do an honest review of your own history now. How many times were you on the absolute ground, and something or someone lifted you in a way you cannot completely explain by logic? Count those moments. Write them down if you need to. They are your personal, non-transferable evidence that no one can take from you. You've made it to the end of this video because something within you recognized that this message was for you. Do not ignore that recognition. Honor it with an action, no matter how small, before this day is through. This is precisely the difference between those who move forward and those who remain stuck in the same cycles. Some listen and act, others listen and wait for the perfect moment that never arrives. Attention, you need to prepare now. I put together an exclusive resource for those who feel set apart for something greater, but live surrounded by noise, distractions, and mental overload. This is a 30-day journey that will transform your life. A guided path to armor your mind and prepare for what's coming with daily practices of focus, boundaries, and discipline. Stop negotiating with the noise. Learn to spot distractions before they control you, and strengthen your mind. Also available in an immersive audio version. Over 10 Zuru readers have already transformed their lives through the 30-day journey. Thousands of people have already started this transformation. People like you who are tired of living in the fog. Ordinary people who decided to stop accepting mental chaos. Take advantage of this limited time offer only this month. Access your link just below in the pinned comment.